So over the past 6 years, there have actually been a lot of times when I'm playing Classic WoW where I've been pretty close to quitting, pretty close to uninstalling, maybe not making that next video, not turning on the stream. And I wanted to talk today about some of those reasons why I've actually been this close to quitting, and the reason I'm actually still playing Classic WoW after all these years. Let's get into the 10 times I almost quit Classic WoW and the big reasons behind it. So the 10th time I almost quit playing Classic WoW for good was when they jacked up the servers. Now, I don't know if you guys remember back in 2019, there were all these mega servers. Fairlina was a big one. That was the one I was on. And in 2020, back when BWL launched, they actually still had server queues. There were a lot of people trying to log in, and it got old pretty fast. And what they did was they opened up transfers to all these different servers. The slow death of Fairlina began, and over time, all the Alliance left the server. What happened to me was all my world PvP dried up. All the interactions I was having dried up, and suddenly I was left on this 100-0 server. It didn't represent any of the reasons I originally started playing Classic in the first place, and honestly, I kind of wanted to quit. Looking back, it was definitely one of Blizzard's biggest mistakes to not do something, not take action when the server started getting imbalanced, and it's still plaguing them even to this day. So the 9th time that I almost quit Classic WoW was when they introduced the paid level boost in the Burning Crusade. Now, this was unprecedented. We're talking about the first time in vanilla they were going to allow people that had a lot of money to actually buy their way to catching up and having success. And it's the precursor to all the things we see today, where you can buy a max level boost in retail, you can buy as much gold as you want, you can do GDKPs, you can have full gold, full gear in minutes. And we all saw it coming with the TBC boost. Now the integrity of Classic is in jeopardy. And I really, really fear for Classic Plus probably having the WoW token. And I really hope it won't. So the 8th time that I almost quit Classic WoW was when they shut down TBC. Now, TBC was really the first time that I actually started to really understand the game. I started doing arenas. I got 2K rating. Maybe not the highest, but I was really comfortable. It became a game that I really enjoyed playing. To me, once I lost TBC, I actually lost something I really enjoyed, something I would have continued playing. And for the last 4 years, I have not really enjoyed WoW as much. I would honestly have preferred a TBC era to a Classic era. I would have continued playing, continued doing arenas. I guess we're getting TBC again, but honestly, it really was a big mistake shutting down TBC, not giving us a server where we could continue to play arenas, continue to do the raids. I think it was a big mistake. So the 7th time I was this close to quitting Classic WoW forever was when they just had to start class balancing. Sure, you remember it was really back in TBC that they started to make those changes. It doesn't always seem like the class balance changes are reflecting the common person, what they really want. I kind of saw that coming. I kind of saw that the balancing would be a problem, and it has been a problem. I mean, you just look at MOP, for example, where they arbitrarily nerfed Disc Priests and Resto Shamans. That basically drove me away from healing completely. I had no interest in it after that. The frustration comes down to, it feels like Blizzard kind of balances based on Discord servers and streamers, and they don't necessarily balance purely based on data. Because remember back in SOD, when I was on Horde side, watching the Ret Paladins be overpowered week after week after week, pretty close to quitting. I was very frustrated. So the 6th time that I was this close to quitting Classic WoW for good, well, it was recently when they got rid of the Raid Finder. Now, I had been really looking forward to doing the Raid Finder to gear all of my characters in MOB Classic. I didn't want to have to sit there raiding for 5 hours every single week on every single character, which is Blizzard's vision for MOB. I didn't really want to do Celestials. Doing the same dungeon over and over again, doing Gate, doing Siege, it just wasn't what I was after. Like Borg Manson says, it's not fun doing the same dungeon 1,000 times in a row. I don't really know why Blizzard thinks that's more fun than actually doing the raid. So the number 5 reason that I was this close to quitting Classic WoW was when they banned GDKPs. Now, I had never been the kind of guy who ran 7 GDKPs, But I liked the loot system. I liked that everyone stayed in the raid no matter what happened. I had seen nothing but pain and frustration with soft reserve systems, because most soft reserve systems come with a couple of hard reses for the raid leader, of course. GDKPs felt like the better loot system. And Blizzard arbitrarily getting rid of that loot system, it made me very, very much less interested in the game. Especially, remember Season of Discovery? We were running GDKPs left, right, and center. It was a huge activity. They got rid of them, immediately the game just had less to do. There wasn't as much reason to raid. So the number 4 time that I almost quit Classic WoW for good was when they really doubled down on layering. Now, I had always assumed layering was going to be this initial temporary thing, basically designed so that the early leveling zones would not be a nightmare in 2019 Classic. But then Blizzard just kind of kept relying on them. They relied on them month after month after month. And over time, it was clear that the layering system was hurting the game. It made the game feel less alive. It affected the economy in negative ways. It really was a worse experience. And when I was a world PvPer primarily, the fact that the layering was such a big aspect of it, and Blizzard clearly didn't care, they still don't care about that. They think layering is a win for the game. Back in 2021, I was very close to quitting the game because the layering had really killed all world PvP, and I just was less interested in the game. So the number 3 time that I almost quit Classic WoW for good was when they ended Season of Discovery. Okay, I had invested so much time into my characters inside. I had the freaking Ashbringer. I had everything, the full tier. My Ret Paladin was insane. Yeah, I did join the Ret Paladin bandwagon if you didn't know. I was expecting more. Okay, I was expecting something, maybe a mini patch. I wasn't expecting a full new raid, but the way that Blizzard shut down SOD and immediately tried to push everybody into Mists of Pandaria, it wasn't my number 1 choice for where Blizzard could take the game. And they just decided, okay, all the SOD people are gonna like MoB, and that's not really the case. It's shown that it's not the case. And frankly, that was the crossroads for me, where I was like, am I going to keep playing the game, or am I going to quit, do something else, RuneScape, maybe retail, just an entirely different game? It was a huge crossroads for me. So the number 2 time when I almost quit Classic WoW for good was when they banned multi-boxing. Banning multi-boxing, I get it. Multi-boxing was unfair, but the real reason they banned multi-boxing had nothing to do with that. Blizzard ultimately removed one aspect of the game, maybe an unpopular aspect, because they were overwhelmed with report system. And the report system has not gotten better in 4 years. So none of this actually accomplished anything. And as a result, I have one less way to play. A lot of people have one less way to play. Yeah, the game just has a little bit less vibrancy, a little bit less creativity as a result. So the number 1 time that I almost quit Classic WoW for good was when they announced Cataclysm. I'm sure you remember watching BlizzCon, and maybe you were there at BlizzCon, and they announced Cataclysm, and my ears told me nobody gave a The applause was so low in that audience. You could have actually probably shouted a word and anybody would have heard it. Because we didn't want Cataclysm. At least most of us didn't want it. We were here for Classic. Maybe we're here for TBC. We might have been here for Wrath, but we were not here for Cataclysm. And I played some Cataclysm. Wasn't the worst game in the world. But it was not what I was here for. So debating whether I should move on to something completely different when Cataclysm was announced was a big, huge crossroads for me in my life. Yeah, that was the one time where I really seriously debated, should I just make videos about something else? Should I stream something else? And just go a completely different direction. So these are the 10 times I almost quit Classic WoW for good. I would love to hear, what is the time that you almost quit or maybe actually did quit Classic WoW? Let me know in the comments. Just stop spamming. I told you I'm recording a video. All right, come to my stream, twitch.tv/NoHitJerome, but do not write. I am serious.